Hey, everybody. We're just going to give it another couple minutes for people to trickle in. Okay.
Hi, everyone, and congratulations, Souza.
Susan might.
Hello.
If you might be muted.
I know you got to remember to hit that unmute button. That's always the first step in these meetings.
Yeah. Cool. Well, there are some new people.
Hi.
Which is great.
Hi, Greg.
Good morning.
Morning, Dana.
Good morning. My name's
Good morning.
I think I'm just going to give it another minute or two. Let's see.
So, Susan, have you announced anything yet? Are you are the results in? I haven't actually been able to keep an eye on it this morning.
Well, 85% of the vote seems to be in, and I have a very good lead. My daughter said, just tell the county to stop counting the votes and declare yourself the winner.
Oh, God.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Where'd you get that idea? Wow. Genius.
Oh, I better change my video. Sorry.
Yeah, why don't you take it to the courts? Maybe you get a judge to
Yeah.
stop it.
I'm combing my hair. I've had a long night. So, yeah.
All right, cool. I see that
Shave again, I think.
I see that a couple of the new faces are people that have signed up to volunteer, which is great. Thank you guys for doing that. We do, however, have some pretty big news. The project implementation next week has been postponed. I will let Greg do a little bit of, explaining, if you guys have questions. But basically we, are postponing the implementation next week to a later date. We should know the updated date pretty soon. The goal is still by the end of this year, obviously. But yeah, so I think as far as you guys go, as soon as we know the new implementation week, we can contact all of you. I think I'm just going to leave, edit the online platform with the updated, postponement. But I think I'm just going to leave the Sign Up Genius basically as it is. We'll probably follow a very similar schedule for when we postpone or when, the new week. And you guys can reevaluate your availability then. Obviously, it will be great to still have you all. I had a presentation all prepared to go through the implementation today. But yeah, so yeah.
There are 2 signs about the road closing next week, the traffic delays. So are you going to tell us what happened?
Yeah, we have to pull those.
This is big news.
Yeah, I know. I think I might
Step in if you want, Dana, there. Yeah.
Sure.
I think, Susan, last council meeting, there was a discussion about reviewing the demonstration plan with the council at this upcoming meeting. So it was decided to review it at the next meeting, review the demonstration plan at the meeting. And so I think we had that review coming up. There was an MOU for indemnification that came up with SCAG that is also, included in that packet. So with those reviews coming up on Tuesday, it just seemed right now school, and I guess I see David Rogers there. David, can you mention the school status? We always assumed we're going to have school one of these days back in session, and I know it's a little bit COVID. Who knows with COVID what's going on? But it doesn't seem to be that urgency that school is up with full traffic. So don't have that urgency. And can you mention that quickly too, David? Just interject on that if you see any light at the end of the tunnel, what your plans are for getting back in session.
Yeah, if you'd asked me last Friday, I would have told you very soon. And now it's not looking very soon at all. We're trying to figure out what we're going to do. Most likely some combination of in-person a couple times a week. Just the reality is our site is very small and our rooms are very small. So we can't fit even half of our kids in one classroom. Even a quarter would be hard. So our classes, have 40 kids in each class and we can only fit 12 in a classroom. So we're in a bit of a holding pattern and things can change. I joke, but it's like every 6 hours, everything changes, which is kind of what it feels like still. So I wish I had better news, but right now we were planning on opening with an A/B schedule similar to our elementary schools in January, and we just kind of heard that that's probably not going to happen now. So,
and wasn't the intention that the elementary and middle school, more than likely there's pressure to start them sooner, right? Because they don't do as well with remote, but the high school would tend to be well after those come through.
Exactly. Yeah. We don't like to use white brushes and generalize too often, but we do feel like our high schoolers are more prepared to deal with remote learning, and they are doing well in the environment, but our elementary and middle school kids are definitely impacted in a severe way, not having in-class instruction.
Michael.
I think in some ways because of, obviously for me personally, the election is now over, at least here in Ojai, and a lot of us have been working real hard with various candidates. So my focus wasn't even on the volunteer project, getting people to recruit people. I think in some respect, this could be a silver lining kind of thing where with more time now, I think we could do a much better job, because I really believe the more numbers of volunteers we could succeed in getting, the more serious the community would, will interpret that as really de facto support. And I think that's really important. So I'm certainly now ready to work with Dana, you, Sousa, Greg. Give us the word when we have a time certain, when this thing is rescheduled. We'll really work hard to throw a wide net out there and do a much better job recruiting and getting these volunteers to sign up, so that, we will have a lot of bodies there, and this will be great for the project. Okay?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
I believe clarification from you and Greg, because Kelly jumped on board and he has arranged, for his staff, he's paying his staff to help with the demonstration project. I so far have not heard a reason for postponing this. It's been postponed so many times, and some of us have put considerable effort into, it may be that it turns out to be a good thing, but I think we owe the public an explanation more than what I've just heard here. Is it because the three council members wanted to postpone it because they wanted more of a review? What is the real reason for postponing this? Were there really not enough volunteers? What is really going on? And what about all the plants that were ordered and all the other things?
And I'll respond to that.
If we're postponing it to a date certain, that's one thing, but I just don't know what to make of this and what to tell people, because I will be asked a lot of questions, I'm sure.
I can respond to that too. And I think it is a accumulation of those things. And I think I appreciate what Michael Shapiro was saying as well, because our volunteer count was pretty low. We had a lot of people saying, you got this huge election with a lot of distraction and effort going that way. It's exactly what Michael's saying. So our volunteer count was low. We're reviewing it with the council Tuesday night, right in the middle of when it's going up. And this issue came up with it. The CAG wanted an indemnification MOU, which isn't a big deal, but it should be ancillary to it. And so all those factors together, it seemed like, what are we rushing it for to get it done right after this? Not to mention we had a holiday in the middle of the week, which created some confusion. And so all those things above, with the lack of urgency, it seemed like, let's push it back where we can all get engaged in it better.
Okay, so are you going to notify all the people that signed up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I have everybody's emails.
And remember that some people tried to sign up and they just couldn't navigate the sign
Yeah,
up.
I think I can, I will definitely adjust that for the new build, whether it's just sending around. Yeah, I think those shortened links are tricky because sometimes they're sensitive to the capitalized letters, like you were saying, Souza, where some people might be typing all lowercase or whatever. So I'll definitely figure that out. And I'll only send around the actual link and not the shortened one for the next round, when we get a new date.
Comment?
Oh, okay.
I do know that Boy Scout Troop 504 was organizing volunteers specifically for Tuesday because the kids didn't have school. So I do know that Troop 504 was just sending out and offering volunteer hours for scouts for a work day next Tuesday. So they should be notified about that.
And Tina, were you thinking Wednesday is Veterans Day or was it Tuesday?
Oh, then maybe it was for Wednesday. I do know that I did, because I'm involved with Boy Scouts still, that they were providing service hours for the boys, but it was on the holiday day.
Yeah,
Right, that's Wednesday. Okay, that sounds like a great group, and hopefully with a new week we could have their participation on Saturday or something like that would be ideal.
Yeah, they're usually pretty good, but you need to tell them ahead of time so that they can get it out to our group.
Yeah, I have the email of the person who is leading that, so I will definitely let them know.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I may, this is Russell.
Okay.
Yes.
The volunteer effort, of course, is a key concern. And one of the things that if we were doing this as a project through an organization like the Green Coalition, is that we would build that structure over a period of time, which might include people to help organizing the people that are trying to enroll volunteers, and also setting up team captains that could work with the volunteers to help get more and more volunteers. So that would normally be about a 3-month process, and we could probably do it in a slightly more compressed time frame, but obviously 3 weeks was not enough to do any real level of organization on that, let alone actually get word out. I'm also wondering, I have a letter to the editor in the Ojai Valley News for this Friday to encourage volunteers. Should I leave that stand, or shall we back off on using the Ojai Valley News? Over to you.
I would hold off on that, just because then we'd have to follow, basically with then another notice that it's being postponed. I agree. Having more time for volunteers is never a bad thing. So once we get the new date, we'll follow up immediately with everyone. And if there's a more coordinated way that we can, like you said, assign captains, if there are other networks that we haven't tapped into, we can explore that. I was impressed with the number that we have gotten so far, but it definitely can't hurt to have more for this project. It's a pretty big one. Yeah.
And I just have to say, I was focused on the election. I did a little bit of networking, but I was going to devote almost full time to it. I don't think the volunteers, in my opinion, the lack of volunteers at this moment is no reason not to do that. I think we can cross that off our list, because with Kelly paying his employees and with me, you know, having time to devote to it, I believe, because sometimes people can, you know, we still don't have it now. We still don't have a date certain. And when we do have a date, the chances are good that we only have 2 weeks. We're not, it's not going to change. Sometimes people are more apt to do things on short notice because then, you know, they don't know their plans 3 months from now. So I don't think the volunteers are a reason. Maybe the SCAG situation, or, you know, the only reason I can think of is that the council wanted to review this, and they have had ample time. If that is a reason, I'm very disappointed, because they had ample time to learn about this. Not a single one of them have been to any of these meetings. And that disturbs me. I don't even know if they've watched the recordings. So anyway, I'm sure that that things will work out, and I'm going to be quiet now. Thank you for listening to my venting. Okay.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't think that when we reschedule, we're going to have a ton more lead time for volunteers. Like, again, we'll probably have 3 weeks, you know, 4 weeks max, like 2 weeks. So I think everyone just kind of stay, you know, we'll do our best to keep everybody updated. And I think it's just kind of keep people in mind. If you were going to reach out to people, like, keep them in mind. And then maybe that'll give us a head start, you know, to resume volunteer outreach when we have a new date. Because to your point, Sousa, I don't think that we're going to have like a ton more lead time when we do get it. So
plus the advertising is all over Facebook. You know, people could show up, you know, so we can't, it's going to be, you know, there's going to be a lot of effort to undo what we've already done. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, I think we obviously have on our end a lot of follow-ups to make, just in terms of, you know, the contractors and health plans, and, you know, like you said, Sousa, the plants. I think some of that stuff, you know, we could just reroute the deliveries potentially, you know, maybe to like the public works yard. I don't think that we have to totally cancel the plant, soil, and gravel orders. I was thinking that could just be more of like a reroute delivery situation, and hopefully they could stay at public works for several more weeks. But yeah, I mean, we have an outreach list that, you know, we've been using for our emails. I will obviously send emails that include all of the people who have signed up on Sign Up Genius. But I do think it's going to take effort, you know, Facebook, the city's Facebook page, if it's been posted on there, as well as any other, you know, it's basically any routes that we've done. I think let's make sure to come back to those and put out an additional announcement.
Yeah, Kelly, I believe, did his mailing yesterday to every single customer, and it was so beautifully done. You know, it was one of the best, most dynamic emails, massive emails that we've done. So as soon as this meeting is over, I'll give him a call and let him know.
Dana?
Yeah, Michael.
Yeah, Sousa, not to disagree with you, but if I hadn't bumped into a chance meeting while I was walking my dog with Russell the other day, I would have not even signed up. I mean, so, you know, I really believe we've been so busy with election stuff and other stuff that we're doing that it just slipped through the cracks. And I view this as a benefit, and we'll really do a better job, and we're going to have a lot more volunteers, if I have anything to say about it. So, and I'm sorry I have to run off to another meeting, but I'm plugged in now. I'll stay plugged in. Dana, thank you. Greg, good to see you again. It's been a while. Sousa, we'll be in touch, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael.
All right, well, yeah, I guess that's all we really have right now. We should,
Dana,
yeah.
if I may, the volunteer stuff. One of the things that I was thinking about that is, you know, you've currently got 900 shifts on your sign up. and they're 2-hour shifts. I'm wondering, first of all, if you think that time is, that amount of activity is necessary, but secondly, would it make sense if we took, instead of doing 2-hour shifts, we made them 3-hour shifts, which would cut the number of shifts needed? And, you know, I think people spending 2 hours would probably just as easily do 3 as well. So
Yeah.
a couple of suggestions that might help, but I am interested in terms of how you have figured out the amount of time that you need volunteers for. Is the 900 shifts necessary?
Yeah.
Um,
I know how much effort people put into promoting this, and they're gonna, I'm afraid that when they have to put effort into unpromoting it just, I don't know how they're gonna feel about that. So I hope it works out. Or maybe other people can take over, because to undo something this massive is not a small thing, I don't think. I could be wrong, but yeah.
I agree with that concern, Sousa, if I may. And one of the things that we can do is continue to accept the volunteers and perhaps take this as an opportunity to organize them and see if we can entice them to take on roles and to help further with the outreach for when we do finally get the next level. I mean, we don't have a massive number of people that are able to volunteer for this thing. So if we can reduce the number of shifts and increase the organization, and maybe even say that's part of why we're doing this. And I think there's another important point that we can use in presenting this rescheduling, and that is the delay in the schools. You know, there's a lot of people in the community who are concerned that we're doing this demonstration when the schools aren't open, and that the schools are a critical factor.
But all I'm seeing is more and more people riding on the sidewalks, more and more close calls with traffic. You know, there's that aspect too, because people are in more, I see whole families on the sidewalk. It was chaos Halloween night. I almost hit my own daughter and kids when they were trying to navigate one side of the street. I mean, you know, I saw them, but if I hadn't been on the alert, you know, because there's all kinds of stuff happening right now on that stretch of the highway. I like Russell's idea of doing 3 hours so that you have longer slots. And we could put something like, if you can only stay 2 hours, I mean, there's going to be a lot of, you know, flexibility. Sometimes people can stay longer than 2 hours, but maybe they can't do 2 double shifts, you know? So anyway, I'll recover from this. Just, I am disappointed. I just have to admit, but I'll recover. Okay.
Kathy, you're muted. Yeah.
Your mute button is still on.
There it goes. I'm sorry, I was late. I just got back in from a project. So, and I don't want to take it too much time to have you repeat what you just said, but I'm trying to garner what is going on. It sounds like you're delaying the project, and is that due to what, lack of volunteers or what?
Well, I can recap it quickly again. We just.
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate it, because I know you and Russell have been working with the Green Coalition, reaching out there. So it wasn't taken lightly, but really it was several factors together. It really wasn't one particular overriding, but their council asked for review of the demonstration project next Tuesday. So we're doing that next Tuesday night at council meeting. We also had the SCAG has required an indemnification MOU. So that was late and unusual. So that really should be approved by council. So it's a little bit unusual to approve an indemnification MOU in the middle of this thing.
project.
Major factor. The volunteer turnout's been low. Everybody has said they're distracted by the election. Fair enough, which is kind of wrapping up, I guess, in the counts now. So even this week, I think a lot of people wrapped up watching the results and so on. So you just missed Michael Shapiro was on. He was saying he thinks it's a silver lining because there's so much diversion from the election. So distancing from that should help as well. And then I think we just heard from Dave Rogers too, saying that there's no near-term sign of schools going back to full in session, which is what a lot of people want to see, even though it's a very brief 12-minute peak and school pinches. We're not going to see that for, I think, David, are you saying maybe not even spring semester, or really it appears unlikely in the spring semester period?
I mean, it's really, you were even down to honestly being in kind of confidential mode on it because we aren't sure ourselves. So I'm not even really supposed to share much beyond that. We were hoping to open in January, and guidance we've heard recently about our second wave and different things have us thinking that we won't make it to that date. We are trying to come back in January, but I
There was something about
feeling it won't.
Thanks, David. We were, when school's in session, ideally to overlap. And I think we've emphasized at these meetings as well as publicly otherwise that some people are concerned that we're going to do the demonstration without the school being in full session. And just to reiterate that our intention is to extend this project as necessary all the way out into the fall of 2021 to assure we get a significant overlap with school being in full session. So we're hoping that it happens in the spring, but I don't think anybody's confident in what's happening with COVID at this time.
Susan, you had your hand up before I did.
I wanted to add to what Greg just said. Don't forget that I spoke with Shelley Griffin of the school board and to our school superintendent that they said they could recreate, they could have people drive to school, whatever, that wouldn't be hard. Plus we have those movie nights and there's all kinds of other activities going on that ought to give us some sense of what's happening. If that's really an issue.
Yeah, I want to just make a couple comments as well. We don't know what's going to happen with the school. What if it doesn't happen for a couple of years? And I do want us to get accurate data. So I'm not, whatever I'm saying, I'm not against that. But I agree with what Susan's saying. Like I went by the high school the other day and they were doing sports. So there were, there had to be at least over 100 kids there. There were cars and I continue to see people riding on the bikes on the sidewalk over there. So there's always going to be something. I mean, and then do you just keep waiting and what have you?
Right. So that's
is the indemnification the only legal thing with the CAG that would actually hold this up? And could that be expedited and completed? And can we be flexible with the volunteering? Does it have to be the 2-hour slots? Can we kind of reorganize that somewhat?
Yeah, it does not. Yeah, the slots don't, but no one has to really stick to the slots, if I'm being honest. We use the slots.
And people tend to sign up at the last minute. That's just how it goes.
We
I was
use
never worried about getting enough volunteers.
Yeah, the slots are used.
There's plenty of people that want to volunteer.
The slots are used when we put volunteers into our implementation plan.
Right.
So 2 hours is is typically, the reason we typically do 2 hours is because we know how long tasks typically take, and 2 hours is a good block for us to be able to program or plug volunteers in with our team captains. And that's just how we do it. But we're aware that somebody might sign up for 9 to 11 and stay until 3. And that's totally fine. It's a way for us just to estimate how many people we'll have arriving at one time. So maybe there's something I can do to clarify that when we do have a new, date, is just say sign up for a 2-hour slot of when you're going to be there. And we at least have a starting number of how many volunteers to expect. And if it's more, that's great. But giving us a baseline idea is helpful. There's not really a way to efficiently have people sign up without slots, if that makes sense. It helps us.
I totally get that. And I just wasn't sure based on, I guess I'm looking at, we have the SCAG issue with indemnification. We have uncertainty as if and when the school will go back full time. We have some people that signed up, but maybe we'd like to see more, but there is some flexibility in the scheduling. And I always feel like, there's always something that we could say, oh, let's stop, let's not do it. And I don't know if we're taking
I've not heard a compelling reason to go forward. If there were council members there's no reason why council can't review the project while it's happening. Dana did a beautiful job laying everything out. The city manager provided all the, a written report to the council. I do not see any, I'm not in charge of this, but I personally have not heard a single compelling reason to postpone the project.
Let me speak up on that too. I mean, we had to make a decision on this because we have a lot of things underway. So we have already made the decision. It's already happening.
Yeah.
And really, I think it isn't one particular issue, but certainly the fact that, SCAG came through this late, indemnity.
Yeah, that may be the only reason.
Was bothersome. The council's reviewing it. There's no urgency. And as Michael Shapiro was emphasizing, there's a lot of distraction with the election for all of us, and it hasn't. So ideally, we get better outreach, more volunteers volunteering.
Okay.
No urgency with the school. There's all of those together seem to make a pretty solid reason for, let's go ahead and delay it, because really the funding we have is a 6-month demonstration. So the later we start, the more likely we get the overlap with the school in full session. And when we extend it past that, we'll be working with SCAG for additional funding, but it complicates it as well with them and Caltrans,
If I may, I think the school opening thing is probably the best public narrative for this delay. I think people are welcome to understand the more nuanced parts of that. But I also think that this is a great opportunity for us to do a better job and for us to engage, like the fact that Dave Rogers is on this call, that Michael Shapiro is on this call, that Shelley Griffin got reelected to the board. She's a bicycle advocate. We haven't really gotten the schools moving on helping with the volunteer. It takes a certain amount of outreach and organization. We haven't had a chance to do that yet. So if we can get those students to show up, then our volunteer problem becomes a fun party once again. So I think that's the goal, and let's utilize that time and recognize this is an opportunity to do an even better job and keep the focus on this and keep the community building support and participation in this. Let's take this time to really boost that so that we can end up with something that will really look good and make sense and make a big difference. Thank you.
All right, so basically, am I canceling all the materials that we ordered?
No, Kathy, I was gonna say, I think that we should just have them delivered to the public works yard.
Okay, so basically the
yeah.
soil mix and all the plant material.
I think just deliver them there, and then I'm also gonna change the delivery of the gravel.
Okay.
Because we've already, that stuff is already set and we need it anyway. I think, obviously we were trying not to have the plans delivered to the public works yard early, but I feel like we've already multiple times with them, delayed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's just keep the delivery date and time the same and have it public works yard, and maybe Miguel and Fred can water the plants until implementation. I think that's what is gonna have to happen.
There was some talk of that anyways, right? That delivery was going to be difficult to site. It might land up at public works yard. So the soil isn't much, right? Are we talking one dump truck load? And we can transfer that to our dump truck with our backhoe and deliver it as necessary each location, on the site. So, okay.
So Greg is, and I apologize once again, questions because I was late. Are you projecting, this is like an estimate, ballparking, that potentially this will happen after the first of the year?
I think we're heading for early December.
Oh, early December. Okay. Yeah. That's like another month.
This is all contingent on council's review Tuesday night, what input they have. They may feel, I've heard some people say the further out the better, but I think the idea is to get it out there similar to what's planned, but based on these factors we have, make sure council fully understands the plan and the resolution and the MOU for the indemnification, all those features, and then get the word out. So what are we roughly, that would be roughly 3 weeks out was the window that worked, December 7th, and council supported with that.
All right, so I guess as soon as you have a new date, let us all know. I'm kind of wearing a couple of hats here, but I'll speak for the Green Coalition. We were, putting the, announcement out to get volunteers. So we would resend that as soon as, basically we'll send one out and say that there's been a delay and that we're going to repost, but then as soon as you have the dates, let us know.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I
Okay.
think we should be able to, input from council Tuesday night is critical. And then we should be able to set that date hopefully next week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it just feels disrespectful to the people that have made an effort to get volunteers. And I know how much time they've spent. I know even even with the election, how much time I've spent. And then Kelly Pasco arranging for his staff to volunteer next week. So all of that has to be undone. And it's doable, but this is Michael Shapiro's maybe first meeting. Kathy and I have been to,
We've been
12
on it since the
meetings.
beginning.
People that we can't help if council members and Michael didn't attend the meetings. That's not our fault. So they're seeing it from a different perspective.
Susan,
Well, there's always a lot of shoulda, couldas, but I guess trying to line this up for the immediately
Yeah.
after elections. If I had a choice, I would do it differently, but
Yeah.
it's always obvious when we're doing it. But Michael is saying he was 100% distracted. He's very excited to engage in the process, and I'm sure a lot of other people are now that the election is getting behind.
Okay, it'll probably turn out to be good.
I
I just was so fired up for next week.
I was too.
If I may,
my
Susan,
schedule.
this is not canceling. This is redirecting to a new date that's not very far out.
That's true.
Okay?
You have no idea how excited I was to see the signs up on both ends of Maricopa. And I thought, wow, this is finally real. It says expect traffic delays November 9th through 18th.
Yeah.
So let's hold on to that. Maybe all we have to do is to change those dates, just turn them off for now and
Yeah,
fix
I'd
the
feel
date.
better if I knew the date, the next date, yeah.
But we are
So-
not undoing anything. We are restructuring, we are replanning, we are reorienting, we are organizing. We're going to get the people that have raised their hands to help us get even more people. So I think this is a very positive thing, especially with the schools and Mike Shapiro on board and the people that have already raised their hands. Let's get Shelley, somebody needs to,
And
raise Shelley
our
into
new mayor is a huge bike advocate, by the way. She rides her bike everywhere. You know
Well,
that we have a new woman mayor, right?
Yeah.
Dana, are you aware?
Yes.
So
Susan, do you think she's
she's
aware of
bike
the
advocate.
project? Susan, do you think she's aware of the project and supportive of the project?
She's a huge supporter of the project. Yes.
Oh, that's good news. All right,
Yes.
terrific.
Yeah, that's good news.
Mm.
Yeah, I think this is a great happening. I think this will improve the quality of the project. It'll improve the community unity behind it and get a lot more support, a lot more feet on the ground and a better result. So I'm excited.
All right. I acquiesce.
Yeah, I think
Besides
the
that, I'm
key-
kind of sleep deprived.
Me too.
I'll sleep next week.
I think the key too is that, we're going to postpone, but we're also going to do our best just to keep the same schedule. So it's literally taking like everything that we have been planning and just shifting it several weeks. Like deliveries will happen at the same time. Shifts will happen at the same time. The contractors will hopefully happen at the same time. It's just kind of
Yep.
out a little bit. So there's not that much like restructuring of the actual project implementation that is going to happen. It's just, like I said, pushing it out a little bit. So yeah, I guess but I am sensitive, obviously, Susa, to what you've been saying about people have been putting in so much time. And that was that is also one of my major concerns. I really apologize for this, but maybe we can all just take Russell's lead and just try to be optimistic that we'll just get more volunteers. And it is, like he said, so just
And maybe even I see that Measure G was the cannabis tax in Ojai appears to have passed.
well,
That might take some financial help with the financial situation of the city, which has been very critical, but slightly improving. So I know that I lost my analyst that I had during the middle of this COVID crisis. And so it's been very tight for staff to get through daily routines is very difficult. So hopefully I think weekly we fill out a timesheet of how much time we spent on COVID. And this last one seemed to be some relief for the first time. I mean, instead of a significant amount of diversion in COVID. So there's a silver lining, I think, like Michael said, that hopefully this will work.
So Greg, we can do this off this meeting, but you and I just need to connect about those deliveries. I'm going to call the companies and give them a new delivery address.
Okay.
Or some people has already delivered to the city in the past, so that's a good thing. But
sounds good.
I'll coordinate that. Okay.
Thanks again. And I know I do agree, Susan. It's unfortunate we had people enlisted and scheduled on this, so I do apologize for that change. It certainly was not taken lightly, this decision, but it was. But I think it should work out for the better in the long run.
Greg, can you make sure that James, his press release is supposed to be in the Friday paper? We've got to make sure that that gets pulled.
Okay.
Because then otherwise it'll be hopeless if that's on the front page.
Right.
Yeah.
My OVN is a primary contact. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if it would, you know, it's totally, oh, okay. It was set to go out this Friday, you said.
Yeah, the paper only comes out on Friday. And thankfully he waited till this Friday. You know, I was after him to do it last Friday so we could get volunteers. Yeah, so that'll be good. And I don't know if there's an ad in the paper for the demonstration. Anyway, I'm going to pull everything I've posted on Facebook.
Yeah, we didn't send anything for this Friday. The most recent ad we sent was for last Friday for this meeting.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, so, Susan, remember when you're going after the stuff on Facebook, we're redirecting, not canceling. Redirecting, rescheduling.
Yeah, but these are flyers with dates on them. And it's confusing to people if they're up. I mean, I'll have to think of something to say. I'll think of something.
Yeah, and the narrative about the school is something that everybody would probably appreciate. I
Yeah.
also want to say to everybody, hey guys, we've been going through one hell of a time this year.
No. Well, you can do that if you like. That's not my take on it.
I'm talking
more worried about all the families on sidewalks.
Susan, I'm talking to the people as humans on this call. We've all been working really hard. We've all been under a lot of stress. This COVID thing has been stressful. The election's been stressful. Dealing with this project has been stressful. And we're all good people, and we've just got some breathing room. So that breathing room is going to help all of us, and it's going to help the project. And you know, let's not let this feel like we're losing anything. I think we're gaining something here.
Yeah, I'm happy if you all feel that way. That's fine. For me, this was like the most wonderful thing that was going to happen next week. Okay, so whatever, I'll put my own spin on it. It'll be fine.
And when you get caught up,
I'm not going to make it like I'm so happy about it. I'm not.
All right, guys. Well, we will keep you updated. Like Greg said, there's a really good chance that we know the updated date as early as middle of next week. So
Good.
yeah, definitely like no need to like sit back and fully withdraw from the project. We're going to be right back. So
Okay.
yeah, we'll just be
Do a little cleanup in the meantime.
Yeah.
yeah.
Getting a hold of people. Yeah, making sure they know it's been.
Yeah, I have a list of about 15.
Okay, I have one more question, Dana. What happens if it rains?
So if it rains, so similar to this first time, we were anticipating that we'd and planned for being done by Friday. So like the main part of the installation was Monday to Friday, but we had put on the sign up Saturday as well. And I had been advertising that it could go through Saturday. That would be like if we lost a whole day from rain or something like that.
So it's not a rain or shine thing. People would not work if it was raining.
We can't
That's my
put
question.
down. Yeah, we can't put paint down if it's raining.
Yeah.
We can't do anything if it's raining. So we plan for that in terms of just like extra days that we might need to be there. And this has happened before where it's rained midweek and we've had to email volunteers and just say, don't come out. If you can come out tomorrow instead, do that. And it typically always works out. So
Yeah, but for that reason, it's good to do it. And that's one more reason before it does rain. I think it rains a lot more in January than
Yeah,
December.
that's a good point. Yeah, January, February, March are
Yeah.
January for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
all right, everybody. Well,
All
thank
right.
you. We'll be in touch soon.
All right. I apologize again. Thanks for everybody's understanding. Take care.
Yeah, no, I sympathize with you, Greg, and thank you, Dana, also, because it's extra work for you as well. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you, everybody. You're doing great.